in an hour.
News Talk Weather.
Thanks to Des Kelly Interiors, the wood floor experts. Supplying and fitting your new wood floor.
Rain across the country with heavy bursts expected in parts of Connacht and Ulster. Lows of 6 to 9 degrees. And now you're up to date on News Talk.
The Football Show on Off the Ball.
Brought to you by Boyle Sports. Now with same-day withdrawals to your Visa debit card.
I'm prepared to do anything I can to play for my country again.
Do it then. What about your start to the game?
It wasn't bad, was it?
Why should an honest answer be a mistake?
How can a modern day manager not have a mobile phone?
Why should he?
Oh, I won't lie, listeners. Dan and I have been having a debate about horse welfare there, which maybe we'll bring on air someday.
I think we should bring it on air at a later day. I was listening to you on the way back up the road. I suppose people on podcasts mightn't have heard the earlier debate you're referring to with Johnny and the lads, but yeah, I think it was.
I'm more on the side of the horses.
I'm also on the side of the horses. I'm on the side of the people who live with horses 24/7, to get up at 4 or 5 in the morning every day to deal with horses. That's who I'm on the side of. I'll take their view on welfare over people who mightn't have ever even spent any time with a horse in their life, but they care about horses, 2 or 3 weeks a year when they see something happening. But 24/7, 52 weeks a year, I think the people who care for horses, and I've put money into doing that, I definitely would trust their judgment on horse welfare, and I think they're doing a lot for that at the moment. But anyway, we've done what we said we weren't going to do by debating it in the football show when there's a lot of interest in football going on.
Okay, we'll just move on.
Sorry.
No.
So that's the final word on the debate. We only had a 20-second window, and unfortunately I spoke for all of that time.
You sure did.
Sorry about that, Joe. Well, let's get back to it on air another time.
Briefly, though.
No. Football show.
I just wonder, is there not a bit of a dishonesty about this?
No.
Are we going down this road and we shouldn't?
Dishonest. I mean, no. I think this is going to. We're not going to agree on this.
Could the simple point not be that horses would not run around these tracks at these speeds over these fences if they were left to their own devices? They are doing it because they're trained to do it, and they have a jockey on board steering them.
Do you ever see a horse fall and run round loose?
At a given race.
When the horse falls and run round loose, do they go back to the stable yard and say, well, I'm done for the day?
Mm-hmm. Or do they follow on?
Some follow on. Like some.
Yeah, I wonder if that's training to a point. Maybe.
They're herd animals. Horses are herd animals.
Okay, so they're following the leader. So
yeah.
the leader's doing it with the jockey on board.
So what would they be doing if they think they could be...
they might just have some grass.
We're losing perspective.
Well, I was just going to make the point, is the more honest summation of it not just that there is a massive inherent risk in racing.
Yes.
Which human beings take of their own free will.
Yes.
And horses don't. And even though they're incredibly well cared for, there is just a bottom line, which is humans really enjoy racing, and therefore they're willing to risk the lives of horses, and that's the bottom line. And some people think that's totally fine, and other people who may well be vegetarians as well and think we all treat animals horrifically just think it's yet another example of how we don't treat animals fairly. Everyone's somewhere in that spectrum.
I appreciate the point of view. It annoys me when there's certain events. I think there's actually a good debate to be had about the issue of welfare and horses and overproduction and stuff like that. And there's possibly issues there that you could debate. But I think when it comes to like Cheltenham and Aintree and these big meetings where everything is done, and these are the best horses with the best care 24/7. And I think just this debate you're talking about to suggest that there's like cruelty at play here and what people are up to, I just don't see it. I don't agree with it. I don't think it's in step with the reality. But I appreciate there's different views, and there's emotive views, and there's a range of views. I think sometimes there's some opportunistic stuff, particularly around the Grand National.
I'm not trying to be opportunistic.
You're not. No. I'm not saying for a second that you are.
I'd be definitely veering a little bit towards the side that, well, it's just another example of how we ultimately treat animals as animals.
I feel a bit uneasy when, there's people sitting watching the day's race and they send out a press release outraged if a couple of horses are killed. I mean, there's racing 7 days a week. You don't get one every day when there's stuff going on at Hexham and market raising and, like there's, surely they should be as outraged about anything, And
sure, but like in fairness,
I appreciate this is the one that everyone has their eyes on. This is the one that everyone has a pair of eyes on. I do appreciate that.
So it's time to debate it.
But I think that when measures have been taken in recent years, for example, with the Grand National, there's been no fatalities in that race for 5-6 years, and yet in a couple of weeks' time, that probably won't be highlighted in any way.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So,
Joe, Dan dropped the old John Hartson, you're not a football man argument on you there. You're not a horseman from Paul. Interestingly, the thing is, though, I spent 4, 5, 6 summers...
some of my best friends are horses.
Oh, my granddad
Yeah.
had horses. Now, they weren't jumping horses, they were show horses down in Mayo. So I would have spent kind of 4, 5, 6 summers.
Well, my point would be, you see
several
horses. You see horses wandering the streets in Dublin sometimes.
What about it?
No, but they're not treated. Like, I'm just saying, like, you know, let's extend a broader debate about our treatment. I think.
But sure, we can all agree.
We love the
we can all agree.
Irish people love the horses.
We can all agree horses wandering the streets and not being looked after is bad. That's a non-debate. This is more about how we treat them when it comes to racing.
Yeah. Well, I think they're treated very well. Anyway, the football show podcast has gone to the. I won't say it's gone to the dogs. It's gone to the horses.
Lads, you were talking about cat welfare last night. Are you going to be talking about hamster equality tomorrow?
I have to say,
we are, Tom.
Someone said there was rabbits being taken out on Leeds last night. I mean, you dropped that in as a text at the last minute.
Yeah.
I mean, was that true?
I don't know. Was that true, JP?
Or is that just
in Kilcool? In Kilcool.
You take a rabbit out for a walk on a lead.
It's just for company.
I don't know.
They'd be doing it of their own free will if you left them out of the course. They're herd animals.
What? Rabbits love nothing more than tie themselves up in a lead.
You and Johnny Ward seem to know what horses think, so.
Yeah.
Lads, unless there are horses playing in Europe tonight, why the hell are we still talking about this?
I agree.
Kevin.
I agree.
If you're just tuning in, Bayern Munich 1, Liverpool 1 is the latest. Let's do a chat about it, though. I'd really like to talk about it.
At a later date, yeah.
No, not now. But let's actually agree to do that.
Okay.
So Sadio Mane with a brilliant goal on 26 minutes for Liverpool. Did you see this goal?
I didn't. I was listening on the radio on the way back. I was
so
up the road
Dan.
today, but I
was
caught the
class all
replay,
over.
but I didn't get the real-time value.
If this was a game of three-touch football, five-a-side, and you saw Mane's goal, it would just be one of the great three touches you could imagine. Liverpool almost having a shot there, out for a throw-in. So Van Dijk, beautiful ball over the top, and Mane, Neuer's coming out. So Mane, with his first touch, gets his right foot in front of the ball and brings it back behind him. And then with his second touch, turns inside away from Neuer and then spins, and with his third touch, left foot, a little dink from a bit of an angle, not a total angle, but from a bit of an angle, with two Bayern players running back, and dinks it over them into the net. It was class, so good. And then Joel Matip, 13 minutes later, Gnabry put in a ball across the 6-yard box. Matip had Lewandowski waiting far side of him, and he tried to stab a foot at it and do something with it, and he put it into his own net. So, 1-1 is where we are. And of course, Dan, away goals, crucial here.
Well, away goals are crucial. There's no extra time. No extra time tonight. So
okay.
So I caught, I was listening on the radio coming up, and then I caught sort of 10 minutes or so before half-time, just after the equaliser. And like Liverpool were living on the edge a small bit close to the break. I mean, Lewandowski had a couple of opportunities where he sort of, it was almost a bit of a high line operated, and he got in behind on one occasion. So I guess the tie is sort of poised in such a situation that now where one more for Liverpool really does it.
Yes.
And it's probably a great position to be in. But there comes a point where do they risk things by getting too deep, and they're not doing that at the moment. We talked about Atletico Madrid last night, who invited a bit of pressure to themselves in a situation. Liverpool have been bold, and they were bold at 1-0, and they had opportunities, and now, I mean, as we speak now, they're on the attack, and they're pressing forward. So they're asking serious questions of Bayern, and they don't look like a team that's going to be kept quiet for the next 35 minutes, put it like that. So
57 minutes on the clock. Henderson went off pretty early on. Fabinho came on. Henderson rolled his ankle, so Fabinho came on. A lot of people, to be fair, in the news round were saying that Fabinho should have started anyway. Sort of understood why he went with Henderson captain. They were going to be under the caution periods, and he's got his three workhorses in there, Milner and Wijnaldum either side of him. But there's no doubt Fabinho probably gives you a bit more on the ball.
No, he does. I think there is just certain games where, you obviously had the debate earlier on, where he feels the need to go for Henderson in that scenario, and you do understand it. You're coming away to Munich. I think you can see the logic, the thinking behind it. But I suppose the theory has been tested now.
So Liverpool not in a bad position. Obviously, a Bayern goal would be bad, but if Liverpool do score next, Bayern are going to have to score 2, and you suspect they won't manage that in half an hour of football. Meanwhile, at the Camp Nou, straightforward for Barcelona. They're 2-0 up. Messi with a penalty, and then Coutinho, who we're going to talk to Tim Vickery about very shortly. Scored on 31 minutes. Coutinho was booed off the pitch at the weekend. He's just not settling in at all. Probably wouldn't have played tonight but for injury to Dembele, so he's not having a great time of it.
No, and I mean there was a penalty incident in that game. It seems to be contentious enough, although as ever I think BT's referee agrees with the decision. So there we go. So Messi put them in control. But yeah, I suppose I don't know. I'm a bit more out of touch with Spanish football this year. The fact it's been on 11 sports. So I actually wasn't aware that Coutinho was getting sort of that. Yeah, well, that he was getting that element, that level of treatment. But I suppose when you think about it, I haven't actually heard that much about him. No. In the sense of that he's been sort of lighting things up, and there's possibly been a bit more chat at times this season about Dembele. Although I know he's been sort of very much in and out as well. But Coutinho just hasn't really been on the radar that much in terms of discussion. But then they're sort of coasting to the league really there without necessarily being, Real Madrid's scenario has meant maybe they haven't been tested in the way you might expect.
In terms of news of the day, everyone, Stephen Kenny is named his first under-21 squad. We'll come back to that in a moment. That's for a friendly game against Luxembourg.
No, it's not a friendly. It's that's their first
qualifier.
That's their first qualifier, yeah.
Sorry, it says friendly on my sheet. That's someone sacked. Do you want to drag them in? Not in front of the cameras.
There you go. You see, there you go. You love horses, but you're cruel on researchers, Joe. That's your stance. What about researcher welfare?
Free will. I'm all for free will.
Yeah, well, they didn't make that mistake on purpose.
That's on the Tallaght Stadium?
Yeah, it is a bit unusual that there's a competitive game. They've actually brought this forward from later in the year when it really should be. Like the previous European Championship campaign cycle, that tournament takes place this summer. Mm-hmm. But I think as part of Stephen Kenny obviously has to head off midway through this campaign to take over the senior manager's job, so they front-loaded Ireland's games in such a way that he's only going to miss 2 at the end of it. So he's got a big year of games and a chance to get some points on the board. So
that's not the worst thing for him, actually, is it?
No, it means he'll be properly tested, I suppose, in a competitive environment, at international level. So, but as I said, we might come back to that squad.
Yeah, the one interesting news line, so Declan Rice has been called into the England squad, no surprises, but the PFAI player executive Ollie Cahill, I think it was to your podcast he was speaking.
It was, yeah.
It is a pretty arresting headline. Just over 30% of players have done the junior cert.
Have only done the junior cert,
in the League of Ireland.
Yeah.
So the obvious maths there, 70% haven't in the League of Ireland.
No, sorry, it's only 30% of only 30%. More than 30% of league runners have no education beyond the junior cert.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So 70% haven't done the junior cert.
No, 70% have.
Oh, beyond the junior cert.
Yeah, do you see what I'm saying there?
Just over 30% of players have done the junior cert as the headline.
Yeah, that's certainly. The first line there says more than 30% of League of Ireland players have no education beyond the junior cert.
Oh, I see.
Like, do you know what I mean? The headline would have been 70% if 70% haven't done the junior cert. let's not labour on this point again.
An irony here.
Yeah, let's not labour on this point. But I mean, that's staggering. 30% of players in the League of Ireland have left school at the age of 15 or 16.
Okay.
And 70% have done their leaving cert. Okay, but I mean, that's still,
they're all doing their junior cert, and then 30% of League of Ireland players said, that's me done.
Yeah, because they've gone to England or whatever it might be. Now, I don't know, you think...
That's about right, though, isn't it? Like that, I mean, players go to England when they finish their junior cert.
It's still a lot of people. Like,
of course it is.
I mean, it's still a large number when you think that per year, like you think League of Ireland, there's 200, 250, 300 players. That's a lot. It's a lot of people who haven't got that their completed secondary education. Mm-hmm. I still think that's a staggering stat, really, in some ways, and it's one that, because I know when we were growing up, you would have known people in school who would have dropped out and left school at a certain age to go and work or whatever it might be. That would have been the time to go. But I don't know, is that as common now away from football? So as football as an industry, that this would be the situation. It just brings home the debate about, what Niall Quinn and people are talking about, and how we just need to address this fact that people are coming back at 19, 20, really with no chance of getting work away from football without significant upskilling, So it's definitely something that needs to be addressed big time.
Yeah. The other bit I see is that Real Madrid and Mourinho, it seems, was killed by the players. So Ramon Calderon, the former president, was on radio and he was saying that Sergio Ramos and several others prevented Mourinho from becoming the club's new manager. Because we had heard on Monday from Andy West that Perez wanted him. And we weren't quite sure who had talked Perez out of that, but it seems, according to Calderon, the player Sergio Ramos told him and they did it publicly as well, that you have to take into account which managers have won the Champions League with Madrid, Del Bosque, Ancelotti, Zidane, nothing to do with the style of play of Mourinho. And they went to Perez and said, do not bring him here. So
yeah, I mean,
it's not surprising given the fallout from his 3 years at Madrid.
No, definitely. It's a bit of a dent for his... it's a dent for him in some ways, because the fact that he could have gone straight back into Madrid, it's like, hey, he still got it.
Yeah.
Yet if there's powerful voices there, that story sort of spreads. That's the type of story that does you damage over a period of time.
My first thought was, imagine in 2 or 3 years' time, Manchester United are looking for a manager, and Ed Woodward's just thinking, I wonder will we give Jose another go? What do you suspect the players would say?
Well, I'd say you can imagine players with a bit of influence, will be making that point. I think Leon might have pulled a goal back in Barcelona. They have. So that's actually made that tie very interesting now. It's Barca 2-1 up with half an hour to go, but one more goal for Leon will put them ahead. So that's left Barca and sort of tenterhooks there.
Okay,
so
that's just in the last few moments ago.
They have just scored in the last 30 seconds. Don't even have a score. We're watching the other game here. But
before we talk to Tim Vickery, about Philippe Coutinho, Loris Karius, Dan. This is fairly grim. Besiktas is where he's at now, 2-year loan. And the last time we all saw Karius, he was making some fairly horrific blunders for Liverpool in the Champions League final. So he's gone to Besiktas to try and resurrect his career. He's been heavily criticised by supporters. The manager there, Senol Gunes, has said he's only picking him because there is literally no alternative. He says Karius lacks motivation, and the latest now is that they've stopped paying him. So Karius has lodged a complaint with FIFA that he's owed £1 million in wages, and Besiktas think he's frankly so terrible they don't want to pay him. FIFA spokesperson confirmed they're investigating the complaint. That is a bad 8-9 months in your life.
That is a nightmare. I mean, that's crazy stuff that they could somehow withhold without being aware of the situation.
Yeah.
That you could sort of withhold wages in some way.
On the face of it, that's what's happening, because there's no other players who are
absolutely deplorable. Now, Turkish football is a bit odd. I mean, there's as a country, it's a bit odd. The league leaders at the moment are a small club that are very close to Erdogan, the old leader, and all of a sudden they've made a suspicious rise up the ranks and they're 8 points clear. So I don't know in terms of policing this type of thing. I know that's a side issue to the broader point of Karius and how his career has unravelled in some way here, and again, it's one of these things where he's well paid, you're talking about huge amounts of money there, but at the same time, no matter how strong a character you may be, and it says he lacks motivation, but that could be any number of things. That could be someone who's just really struggling, and it's a grim situation. You just can't encourage any scenario where wages aren't being paid if they've paid, done the deal to bring them there in the first place.
Well, there's some of the news of the day bits, Dan, but it's been a slow news day. The latest in the Championship, Millwall 2-0 up away to Birmingham City. Derby County and Stoke 0-0. Middlesbrough and Preston is 1-0. Norwich 3-1 up on this evening. Nottingham Forest, Martin O'Neill's Nottingham Forest, I suppose we have to call them.
Big game,
3-1 down at home to Aston Villa. Rotherham 1-0 up away to QPR.
Big game, actually,
West Brom are 2-0 up.
I see Alan Brennan's went off in the middle of the first half for Preston against Middlesbrough, so that might be a bit of an injury concern, which would be a shame for him because he'd be well primed to have a role in the Ireland games coming up, so hopefully that's nothing too serious.
Barca 2-1 up on Lyon, confirmation of that goal, and it's still 1-1 in Munich. We're going to talk to Tim Vickery next because Philippe Coutinho, certainly before this evening, has been having a torrid time at Barcelona, and Tim's been writing about it.
Football on Off the Ball.
Brought to you by Boyle Sports. Now with same-day withdrawals to your Visa debit card.
You couldn't make it up.
If you've been thinking about coming along to News Talk's witty, irreverent and very funny comedy news panel show, then you really should get your skates on, as there are only 2 episodes left.
Irish audiences, we cheer because we think we've been brought somewhere. Come on, Ireland! Woohoo! Where are we going?
The last pair of programmes will be recorded in front of a live audience at Tramline in Dublin City Centre on Thursdays, March 14th and 21st at 6:30pm.
Tell them nothing.
For free tickets, go to newstalk.com/events. But hurry, when you couldn't make it up is gone, it really is gone. For now, anyway.
You couldn't make it up with Pat O'Mahony.
In partnership with Tesco. Saturday mornings at 9:30.
On News Talk.
Football Index is reinventing football betting. You can buy and sell the world's top players. Their value may go up and down, but it's not over with the final whistle like a regular bet. Football Index, reinventing football betting.
Start building your portfolio today at footballindex.co.uk or download the app now. New customers only, minimum deposit and conditions apply. Gamble responsibly.
Retailers, don't miss out on one of the most important events of your year. Retail Excellence Retail Retreat and Expo, City West Convention Centre, May 21st and 22nd. Retail is changing from digital disruption to Brexit. Find out what's coming around the corner from 70 world-class retail experts, including Anthony Hooker, President and CEO of Southeastern Grocers USA. Hear the latest trends and learn how to grow your business online. Partners to retail, get involved too. It's where you need to be. Book now for tickets and expo space at retailexcellence.ie.
Business is changing, which is why at Ford, when we say our commercial vehicles are built for business, we mean it. Our new Transit range is still tough, still powerful and always dependable. But it now has the brains to match its superior brawn, with an even wider range of innovative features, smart technologies and greater efficiency. It's designed to work as hard as you do. And with Ford Innovate driving better value, you can get 3.9% APR, a 5-year warranty and €1,750 bonus on the new Ford Transit range. Your business deserves the best in the business. Choose Ford Transit, the future of commercial vehicles. Order now at your local participating Ford dealer and register by March 31st. Ford. Go further. Terms and conditions apply. See Ford.ie for details.
The M&S sale is now on in-store and online with up to 50% off selected clothing, home and beauty. See in-store and online for terms and conditions.
The Use It 1-year Graduate USA visa is open to recent graduates and students with an Irish passport. Live and work in America for up to 1 year and gain international experience in your field of study. 2018 graduates, book your place by March 31st or risk losing your chance to go on the grad visa. Don't live to regret it. Go to useit.ie today.
Oh, Brady family ham, well, it's his your only ham. Cured for 3 full days and there's no added water. Always carved from one pork joint, other hams, well, what's the point? It's the nation's ham from Mizzin up to Malin Head. Come out you other hams, come and face me ham to ham. Show them how you're made with mold and added water. And tell them how Brady family ham chased you away from the green and lonely fields of Kildara. Brady family ham, it's your only ham.
No one does Cheltenham quite like QuinBet. With a huge selection of markets on horse racing, plus all your favourite sports. We've got you covered right through the festival and beyond. And now with live casino and Irish lottery betting, you can find us on mobile, app and PC. QuinBet.com. T's and C's apply. Gamble responsibly. Visit gambleaware.ie.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
Well, massive goal in Munich. Virgil van Dijk from a corner has scored for Liverpool. They're 2-1 up. Bayern are going to have to score twice in 20 minutes. It's a brilliant header from Van Dijk. We were just watching commentary here. Steve McMahon asked on the replay, who's marking Van Dijk? It turned out 2 players were marking Van Dijk.
Yeah, Hummels included. Hummels one of them. Yeah.
He jumped above both of them. They were in front of him. It was far from a free header. He was right in the mix of it all, about 6 yards out, and put it away, and that's his first goal in the Champions League for Liverpool.
Yeah, I suppose, I mean, aside from the fact that he's sticking the ball in the net, there's an element of what we're seeing from him all season in the sense of just dominating his area.
Yeah.
I mean, it was Milner swung the ball into the area, and as you said, it was there to be attacked, and he was just bigger, he was stronger, he was more powerful. You know, he sent one player flying, and Hummels was the other. Might be Javi Martinez, might be the other player, I'm not 100% sure, but either way, he dominated his area, and they're going through now, barring a dramatic turn of events, because even since they've scored, it's been Liverpool on the offensive, looking for a third rather than Bayern sort of, you know, making inroads towards a significant response.
Look, if Bayern score twice, this will be one of the great comebacks, and we've had a few lately.
This will be the greatest round of 16 of all time,
2019,
in any competition.
Let's go to Tim Vickery. We're also keeping a vague eye on Barcelona 2. Lyon 1 now, which actually is the more interesting game.
Well, there's only one goal can swing that tie now. So
you're there, Tim.
I am, top of the evening to you. How are you doing, gentlemen?
Very well. So I think we were all kind of happy enough to see Coutinho score his goal. You, like many people looking on, and I've been watching his struggles. Before this evening, just 8 goals in 39 appearances for Barcelona. He was booed on being taken off at the weekend. And you were making the point in your piece on ESPN that really, in broad terms, there have been 2 problem areas for Coutinho. 1, his position and where to play him, and 2, his personality. We might start with his personality.
Yeah, because he's a player. He's from my adopted city of Rio, so I watched a lot of him on the way up. And you've got to remember that there's a reason that Liverpool picked him up for a song. And that is that Inter Milan, who'd had a relationship with him from when he was 15, they couldn't take him over the Atlantic until he was 18. But they had him for a while. They loaned him out here, they loaned him out there. And in the end, they kind of gave up on him. They thought, well, he's not going to do it. So Liverpool took him for a song. He worked wonderfully well at Liverpool. And then they've made a huge profit on him. But he is, I think, quite an introverted character, quite a quiet character. And if you look through his career, on many occasions, he's found the step up difficult. And that was true with Brazil, and he was a disaster in the World Under-17 Cup for Brazil. He won the World Under-20 Cup, but he was very much a part of Oscar's supporting cast. And it took him a long, long time to establish himself at senior level as well. With Barcelona, he's going into a context there where the club are not going to come to him. He has to go to the club. He has to fit into something. And I think it's been harder for him because, and now we get into the aspect of what is he as a player. Because Barcelona, I thought, they bought him with the idea of him being a replacement for Iniesta.
Yeah.
The more attacking member of a midfield trio. And I don't really think he is that. And Brazil are persevering with him in that role. But I would see that as one of the reasons for their World Cup defeat to Belgium. Because I don't think he's a genuine box-to-box midfielder. I don't think he defends well enough to do that. And I think if you look at his World Cup, he got worse and worse and worse as the competition wore on. So anyway, Barcelona have decided, it seems, that they don't want to play him in that role. It's the front three or nothing. And his problem there with the context at Barcelona, I think, and you have people here on this show who know far, far more about this than I do, but his problem there is that Luis Suarez has lost a little bit of pace. Still a magnificent player. But they need pace in that front three. They need to stretch the opposing defence. And for that reason, Dembélé has been a better bet than Coutinho. And Coutinho is only playing in this game because Dembélé is injured. Now, Coutinho's goal, as it stands, is sending Barcelona through to the last 8. But it's one of those goals where, and he's done pretty well tonight. He's done all right, but it's one of those goals where it's a scandal that the credit goes to the scorer.
Yeah.
Because it was a glorious defence-splitting pass from his compatriot Artur, and a lovely unselfish layoff from Suarez, and all he had to do was roll the ball into the back of the net. Great for his confidence, but still you see those problems applying there with Barcelona. Where is he really going to fit in long-term with the Dembélé fit?
No, that goal, as you said, good for his confidence, but it doesn't change the issue here at all. And he was playing left of a front three. Even if Barcelona had watched him at Liverpool, increasingly, and look, Liverpool did not want to let him go, but increasingly as time went on and Klopp used him left of a midfield three to make way for the front three as we know it. There were issues there, there were vulnerabilities there. It was obvious to many observers that he didn't have the engine to do what Klopp wanted somebody in that position to do for all his gifts when they were on the attack.
Well, yeah, you say that it's obvious. I would have thought that it's obvious, and Barcelona seems to have arrived at the conclusion that it's obvious. The Brazilian coaching staff are still trying to hold this position. They will show the statistics from the World Cup of how much ground he covered.
Right.
Saying that he's and at what pace he covered that ground, arguing that he's got the engine and the intensity to do it. But sometimes the stats tell us one thing and our eyes tell us the other. And I don't think, and maybe he wasn't helped from that left side of Brazil during the World Cup where you've got Marcelo at left back and Neymar as well. So there's not a lot of defending going on all down that side of the field. And I'm very interested to see where Brazil use him now. And Brazil haven't really clicked since the World Cup. And where they will use him now in the games they've got coming up later this month against Panama and the Czech Republic. Because you've got, on the one hand, you've got the rise of Lucas Paquetá at Milan. And he would be an obvious contender for that left side of a midfield three role. On the other, in the front three, on the left side of the front three, Neymar is out injured, Vinicius Jr. is out injured. So it might be an occasion to go back to the drawing board and put Coutinho back in his, what I think is in his natural position. And there with a centre forward, if you use Gabriel Jesus to get behind the line, the lack of pace in the front three, it's a different context from Barcelona, and maybe he can shine there. But this is a player who would have thought at the start of last year he was making his dream move. But at the moment, I think he stands very much at the crossroads.
Yeah, it's really blown up. And for an introverted figure to be booed off, that's not going to help him in any great way.
No, and so the goal tonight, I think, will help him as long as it's enough to get Barcelona over the line. And if it isn't, then those question marks come out again. Why weren't the team good enough to do it? So there's a lot hanging on this on these last 20. It's kind of the last 20 minutes of truth in the Camp Nou.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see the way it all hasn't worked out for him. I saw actually another news. Messi's come out of retirement in the last couple of weeks for Argentina.
Yes, they play games against Venezuela in Madrid, and they play away to Morocco. Now, it looks like he's not going to Morocco. He's only going to play in the game in Madrid. So it would seem that he's willing to come back for one last cycle for an international title. And the story will surely end in the World Cup Qatar 2022 when he'll be 35. He's got a Copa America next year. It looks as if that Copa America will be... this is being decided at the moment as I speak. It looks as if that Copa America will be divided between Argentina and Colombia. So he's got a chance to win a title on home ground next year, and he's got the Copa America this year if he wants it. He may not want it. Now, the reason for that is Argentina currently have a caretaker coach, the former West Ham right-back Lionel Scaloni. And Scaloni has not picked Sergio Aguero, who hasn't played since the World Cup, is in the form of his life and was probably Argentina's biggest success in what was a disastrous tournament in Russia last year. Mauro Icardi has been his first choice centre forward. Icardi hasn't been called up this time because he's obviously in dispute with Inter Milan. So the absence of Aguero is getting a lot of heat. Diego Maradona said, well, Scaloni must have been spending his time in a convent if he can't see that Aguero should be in this squad. They've tried to come out with a line that Aguero at this stage of his career doesn't need to be tested. Nonsense. If that's true, why have you recalled Di Maria, who's part of the same generation and also hasn't played since the World Cup? Voices close to the Argentine coaching staff would seem to indicate that they think Aguero and Messi are too close. They're firm friends, and they're not happy with the influence that Aguero might have on him, maybe shutting him off from the rest of the team. So how does Messi feel about this? Will Messi be disposed to play for Scaloni in the Copa America in Brazil this year? But good news for international football, he's back. How long he's back for, we'll have to find out. But it looks as if the show might go on with the odd hiccup on the way until the World Cup in 2022. Do
you mean shutting him out from the rest of the team off the pitch, as in they're just great buddies, they only talk to each other?
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, there have been people who've been on the outside of that, like Paulo Dybala, have talked about how difficult it's been for them to play with Messi. And Messi is very closed anyway. You know, it's hard for people to get a word out of him. Aguero and Messi roomed together back in 2005 when Argentina won the Under-20 World Cup. They've been firm friends ever since. To be honest, I don't think Argentina ever really got the most from that partnership, because when it works, I think the two of them can really, really fly. But it would seem that the current coaching regime see the relationship between Aguero and Messi as a problem.
So, I mean, Tim, so when the news is announced in Argentina, is there like a celebration? Like, are fans unanimous on the Messi thing, or is there any dissenting voices there wondering about this sort of flip-flopping that we're seeing?
Well, there are bigger fish to fry in Argentina at the moment. We're coming towards the end of the league campaign, which is a great story in itself. 3 rounds to go. 2 teams. It's a David and Goliath, Racing and a little team called Defensa y Justicia. And it's one of those moments when the fixture computer has done us proud, because the last round in 3 weeks' time is a meeting between these two sides. They're only a point apart. So there's that going on. There's competitive games in the Copa Libertadores going on. A friendly in Madrid against Venezuela is not getting too many people excited. The excitement level will rise when the competitive stuff starts off with the Copa America this year, and a Copa America next year, which, as I say, could well be divided with Colombia. So a chance there to finally win a title on home soil. Remember, Argentina haven't won a senior title since the Copa America all the way back in 1993, when Messi was 6 years of age.
Wow. As we wrap things up, is there any talk of Coutinho getting out of Barcelona in the summer, Tim, or is that a bit premature?
Messi has just wrapped it up, I think, for Barcelona. He just rolled
3-1,
a third into the goal. Yeah, no, there is speculation about Coutinho leaving, and obviously they've paid a lot of money for him. They're unlikely to get all of that back, and there aren't that many people who could afford anything like the transfer fee, and almost all of them are in the Premier League. So watch out for business that way. There could be bids coming in for him. Manchester United, perhaps. I've even heard it just softly whispered that if Christian Eriksen leaves Tottenham, then maybe Coutinho will be someone who the club will think about to fill that brand new stadium.
You'd take that, wouldn't you?
I'm not sure that the club can afford it, but yeah, I think I would. I think I would, yes.
What is the gut feeling on your beloved Spurs? Are they going to win the Champions League?
No.
Rescue this season?
There'll be a heroic failure, a heroic defeat in either this round or the next round, or even a final. You go into the season braced for heroic defeats. So you kind of judge the season on how late in the campaign the heroic defeat comes.
Meanwhile, Mane has just scored another for Liverpool.
Game over.
Sure is. 3-1
Another
on
header.
the night. Yeah. Cross to the back stick, diving header, far corner. 3-1 Liverpool in Munich. That is very impressive, really. 84
Stern
minutes
faces
gone.
on the Munich bench, yeah.
They're good, Liverpool. They're good. Champions League's been brilliant over the last couple of weeks, Tim.
Yeah, it certainly has, and it's now at this point I'm going to ask for some sympathy, because when this is all over, I've got to spend the rest of the night watching games in the Copa Libertadores, South America's Champions League, and the gap between the business end of the Champions League and the group phase of the Copa Libertadores, it's enough to make a grown man cry.
That is a long evening ahead. To be fair, the gap between the knockout stages of the Champions League and the group stages of the Champions League is equally gaping.
Yeah, although there was drama there, weren't there? There were a few clubs, including the mighty Tottenham Hotspur, who
the groups were good this year.
The groups were good.
This has become the groups being bad has become this sort of it's said without thinking almost. But actually, the groups do throw up.
It's quite a 2010 take of mine, isn't it? Yeah. Spurs getting through in that miracle.
I just think the group stages of the Champions League are so far ahead of everything else in maybe in club football. You know, they are the bar that's been set by it now is ludicrously high. The groups this year were actually okay.
Yeah, okay, they were. Well, the knockout stages are just ridiculous. So Liverpool will go through and we'll move on. Anything else grabbing your eye in the world of football before we let you go?
Yeah, Piqué has just scored a fourth on a counter-attack. He's not a player that you would imagine to be in the opposition box.
Did he start? Was he waiting for the rest of them for some reason?
Yeah, maybe he was still up from a corner and he hadn't gone back. But no, I think he'd lumbered his way from one end of the field to the other. So that's all done and dusted. And let's see what the draw emerges for the last eight. Right. Pochettino is in the stadium. He's watching Barcelona. So I'm sure he's planning their demise.
Sorry, Tim, just finally, actually, one thing that struck me. Is there much chat in South America about the 48-team World Cup, which is something that is obviously seems like it could be more possible for 2022, and I assume South America stands to benefit from that, and you have that brilliant qualifying phase at the moment, but is there any sense of what the mood is towards it there?
Yeah, the mood is, please, can it not happen? Unless you're perhaps Venezuela or something, and it's your own, and it's your chance of making it. I think this is a move which is far, far more popular in Asia than it is in South America. A majority opinion, and certainly in Brazil and Argentina, who reckon they're going to qualify every time. The majority opinion over here is this is a way to wreck the World Cup. In the desperate chase for money, over riding roughshod over quality and organisational good sense, because groups of three, our survey said, don't like it, can't see how it's going to work.
Very, very last point is Neymar, who seems to have had a great time at the Rio Carnivals. I was on the Daily Mail app and it was non-stop pictures of Neymar partying it up for a few days. It's not the first, this is a few times he's managed to end up here, isn't it? He seems to time his injuries very nicely.
Yeah, well, I think, to be honest, he would rather have been out taking on Man United in the Champions League, because it means really that his time at Paris Saint-Germain, it really hasn't started yet. And he's only there for the business end of the Champions League.
I don't think he's played a quarter-final even for PSG in the Champions League.
No, he played the first knockout game last year, then he got injured.
Yeah.
and he's been injured this time as well. So it's almost as if his time at Paris Saint-Germain has yet to start. Now, I know people want to throw the knife into him for his carnival antics, but I honestly don't think they've got a case on this one. I know people don't like him. I understand why people don't like him. I think one of the great reasons that people don't like him is a generational divide. I see Neymar as a poster boy for the social media generation.
Sure.
I've only spoken to him once, and that's a long, long time ago now. He was a teenager at the time. But I very clearly got the impression that he really wants all the celebrity trappings, and rather than detracting from his football, I think it's a motivational factor. People who know him will tell you, especially with the Brazilian national team, that he's a fabulous trainer. There is no sign yet of what happened to Ronaldinho, who reached his mid-20s and thought, well, I don't really like football very much. I prefer samba and nightlife. There is no sign of that happening to Neymar. There's no sign of Neymar the player losing focus or losing acceleration. I honestly think that the celebrity life and the desire to live the celebrity life is a motivating factor for him to excel on the football field. So that question, which is sometimes posed over him, is he a football star or is he a celebrity? I think so far he's both.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
And the injuries that he's picked up have nothing to do with anything that he gets up to off the field. He was back working every day under the supervision of Paris Saint-Germain medical staff. So, and I understand why people don't like him. He is part of that generation who reach adolescence very early and they never seem to lose it. I would love him to stop calling himself Neymar Jr. Man up, you're 27 for crying out loud. But he is what he is. He's part of that social media generation. He communicates very well with people who are part of that group, very badly with everyone else. But for the time being, I think he is still fully focused at an age where Ronaldinho had already given up the ghost.
Yeah.
Admittedly, by that time, Ronaldinho had already won the FIFA Player of the Year award twice. Neymar still has plenty of mountains to climb. But I still think we're in for a fun-packed few years, either loving him or hating him, but certainly watching him play at high level. And I wonder if now he's thinking, would be a good time to go to Real Madrid in the rebuilding process and have more than 3 or 4 effective games a year for my club. That would be interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it sure would. And so what happens at the Rio Carnivals? Is this like a 3, 4, 5, 6 day thing where is it like a St. Patrick's Day parade? Is Neymar like the conductor?
He was at both ends of the country. He was up in Salvador in the northeast on the Saturday, getting down with his bad self. And Sunday or Monday, he was in Rio in any kind of executive box for the gilded youth, for the beautiful people, where you can watch the parade and you can get up to all kinds of antics. Not very far away, in fact, Ronaldinho, who's now become a carnival entrepreneur, has his own executive box where he charges people money to come along and play at the carnival. So that's what Ronaldinho gets up to these days.
Right.
Neymar will go and visit and visit carnival, but then the next day he was in the stadium, very, very angry at that decision with the penalty that knocked Paris Saint-Germain out the Champions League.
Yeah. Listen, Tim, pleasure as always. Thanks a mil.
Cheers, my pleasure. Thank you.
Cheers, Tim Vickery there. In fairness to Tim, we threw everything at him.
We didn't get into maybe like how Brexit's been received in South America, or wherever else we could have gone with it. We could have done a bit more, really.
Barcelona 4-1 up on Lyon, as Tim was confirming. So it is Gerard.
The game's ended while he was on the line, effectively.
PK 81 minutes, Messi 78 minutes. Put that game to bed. And as we mentioned, Liverpool 3-1 on the night against Munich's brilliant result. Back in 1 sec.
Off the ball on News Talk.
Football Index is reinventing football betting. You can buy and sell the world's top players. Their value may go up and down, but it's not over with the final whistle like a regular bet. Football Index reinventing football betting.
Start building your portfolio today at footballindex.co.uk or download the app now. New customers only, minimum deposit and conditions apply. Gamble responsibly.
What does the next wave of disruptive technologies mean for your business? Find out at Futurescope 2019, Ireland's #1 innovation event taking place on March 28th in the Convention Centre. Meet Ireland's most exciting innovators and understand the emerging technologies influencing your business, from AI to 5G. This is your opportunity. Take it. Secure your ticket at futurescope.ie. Futurescope, brought to you by Dublin Business Innovation Centre.
bad luck, Brian. You've landed in the bunker.
Ah, no, Pat. How am I ever going to get out of there?
I think you'll need to use a wedge.
What?
The sand wedge.
Is it lunchtime already, Pat?
How good is your hearing? At Specsavers Audiologists, rechargeable hearing aids are available at our lowest ever price. Book a free hearing check today.
Keep on looking.
At SEAT, we know that life isn't about excuses. It's about actions. And with our all-new 7-seater SUV, the SEAT Tarraco, you can make excuses a thing of the past. Too far? Let the digital cockpit with SatNav show you the way. Too complicated? €2,000 trade-in bonus and extremely low finance means owning one couldn't be easier. The all-new SEAT Tarraco. Why not now? Find out more at seat.ie/Tarraco. Terms and conditions apply.
The Use It 1-year Graduate USA visa is open to recent graduates and students with an Irish passport. Live and work in America for up to 1 year and gain international experience in your field of study. 2018 graduates, book your place by March 31st or risk losing your chance to go on the grad visa. Don't live to regret it. Go to useit.ie today.
No one does Cheltenham quite like QuinBet. With a huge selection of markets on horse racing, plus all your favourite sports. We've got you covered right through the festival and beyond. And now with live casino and Irish lottery betting, you can find us on mobile, app and PC. QuinBet.com. T's and C's apply. Gamble responsibly. Visit gambleaware.ie.
The M&S sale is now on in-store and online, with up to 50% off selected clothing, home and beauty. See in-store and online for terms and conditions.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
Gone full time in Munich. Liverpool 3-1 winners. Barcelona through against Lyon. So no Dortmund, Schalke completely blown away. Bayern Munich looking ordinary tonight compared to Liverpool. And 4 English sides through.
The last 8 with Porto.
The
4 English sides: Porto, Ajax, Juventus, and Barcelona. So there you go. I mean, it's an open.
The golden age back, Dan. Is it 2008 all over again?
You'd wonder, yeah. I mean, it's certainly. I was sort of sceptical about that. I think the point has been earlier in the season it's coming back, but when you think there's been, I mean, Manchester United possibly should be out, you know, and there's fine margins, there's fine margins there that could change the debate. But I mean, we'll see what way the draw pans out. If they manage to all stay
an open draw now.
Yeah, if they all manage to stay apart. I mean, Ajax look very good, and you know, Porto would be tough, but you sort of tend to write them out of it as potential winners, you know. And I suppose Juventus looked pretty dead and buried as well, and they've come back and they've got the Ronaldo factor. So hopefully there's a nice balance in the ties, you know, in terms of the last 8. But
David Bray's texted, and I just heard the FAI voted Declan Rice man of the match for Liverpool this evening. Hey, boom, boom.
One of the journalists actually. Someone in the FAI is like, not this again.
We've talked about this more than enough. So, brilliant night for Liverpool, 3-1 winners. We're pretty much done this evening. OTBM is back live tomorrow, 7:45am, all our social channels. Tomorrow night, John Giles, Ray Houghton, and Liam Hogan as well, the former chair of the Offaly Hurling Review Group. He'll be worth a listen to, I would imagine. And, of course, the latest from Cheltenham as well. And a reminder, Thursday, 27th of March, we're going to be live from the Olympia, the first Off the Ball Roadshow of the year in association with Heineken Rugby Club. This, the weekend of the Heineken Champions Cup quarter-finals. So we'll be previewing all the action, and we'll be giving away a prize as well to the Heineken Champions Cup final. So keep listening to Off the Ball for details on how you can get tickets. That's the latest Off the Ball Roadshow in association with Heineken Rugby Club. More Cheltenham tomorrow, Dan. That is the short version.
Yeah, can't get enough of that Cheltenham.
What are we looking out for?
Tomorrow, I think Faugheen, maybe the old boy against maybe the bright new star Paisley Park in the Stayers Hurdle. That could be the clash of tomorrow.
Okay. Is tomorrow generally the week?
Tomorrow would be the week. There's no Gold Cup, Champion Chase, Champion Hurdle tomorrow. I mean, Friday's going to be great, but there's still that. There's a good Ryanair Chase tomorrow as well, with Undeso and Footpad and some names that should be, you know, familiar to the floating punters. So
even a bad day at Cheltenham, Dan.
Oh, a bad day at Cheltenham is better than some other people's best ever days, Joe.
That's so I hear. All right, brilliant night for Liverpool. They're through, Barcelona through as well, and Tom Dunn's on the way next.